Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our VMware Carbon Black office hours. Today, we are going to be going over the feature request process with VMware Carbon Black. My name is Fallon Young, and I am a specialist solution engineer here at Carbon Black, and I'll be walking us through that feature request process. So as we're going through it today, if you have any questions at any point, please put those in the Q&A and we'll be sure to answer those at the end. And any comments as well, if there's anything that we're going over that you need more clarification on or anything like that, just feel free to put that in the Q&A and we'll get that answered throughout the demo or throughout the talk as well today. But to start, we do have a couple poll questions. So just want to gauge everyone's knowledge on the feature request process. And so we'll start with 2 poll questions and then go into some more content after that. So the first one is, have you ever submitted a VMware Carbon Black feature request? All right, it looks like majority is a no, so glad you guys came today. We'll definitely show you how to do that and why it's important to have the customers and prospects feedback on those feature requests, so good to know. So that's our first poll question. Our second one is just kind of a fun trivia question. Which of these major platform changes was a result from a customer feature request? So is it policy rule testing, USB device control, or a live query module? All right, pretty close for the first 2. So the correct answer is USB device control. So about a year and a half ago now, that was one of our top feature requests for the 5 years previous, and we finally got it implemented into the Carbon Black Cloud Console. So now within the console, we do have that USB device control, and that was all based off of customer feedback and customer feature requests to get our engineering team to get that into the console. So pretty cool that we can actually see them, those feature requests come to life in our day-to-day console that we use. But here's a little agenda for today. So we're going to intro a couple resources that you can use as far as how to even get started with feature requests. And then we'll talk about how you can submit them and also other common ones that we're seeing nowadays. And then at the end, like I mentioned, we'll have that question and answer towards the end of the presentation today. So starting with an introduction to the Carbon Black User Exchange. This is a little bit different than what we're talking about today as far as feature requests go, but in order to submit a feature request, you'd have to have access to our Carbon Black User Exchange. And this site also has product announcements. It's where you can go and submit support tickets as well as those feature requests. So just wanted to touch on that to start. Is if you don't already have access, you do need to sign up and get access to our Carbon Black User Exchange. And all of the links for all of these pages that we're going to be going through today are going to be posted in the chat as well as in the presentation that we have as a follow-up. But here is the main landing page for the Carbon Black User Exchange. So if you already are a member, you can sign up here. If you aren't, as I mentioned, you'll need to go ahead and sign up for this. There's a couple different links in that first page as well that shows you how to get started in your specific support group. So sometimes people at your company will already have a user exchange. So sometimes you can just join your company's group. So we have instructions on all of that. And this email is linked within that slide as well. But this is our support for our Carbon Black User Exchange. So if you're having any questions or troubles getting into that, if you email them, they'll be able to help you and get you into that Carbon Black User Exchange. But as I mentioned, super useful, super powerful tool, lots of good resources, and there's lots of knowledge articles. So if you're ever wondering even something that's not about a feature request, you can log into that user exchange and see if others are having a similar issue, or maybe you're looking up what operating systems Carbon Black support, anything like that. That Carbon Black user exchange is a great place to look for questions as well as submit those feature requests. But so just to define what feature requests are, so they're definitely designed so that our engineering team and our internal team has ideas and use cases to make our tool better. So the number one way that we can improve our tool is hearing what our customer needs are. I would say even the example of that USB device control, anything that there's a pain point or a checkbox that we need to fulfill on the customer side, by getting more and more feature requests about that specific request, it will definitely help bring it up the line to that engineering team and get it implemented faster within the Carbon Black Cloud console. So definitely very useful. We take this feedback very seriously. So definitely good to put those feature requests in. It enhances our tool and it makes it so hopefully you don't have to have any other solutions out there. If you don't need SCCM or GPO for USB device control anymore, for example, maybe you could just have it within the Carbon Black Cloud. So definitely good to raise a flag if you do have those feature requests that you are wanting to see in our product. And then we're going to be talking about how to submit a feature request. So if you guys have been Carbon Black customers for a while, it used to be called Idea Central, and now it's since been updated to Voice of the Customer. So similar platform, but marketing redid it just so it's easier for customers to get in and actually submit that feature request, as well as just make it more coherent as one, so that they're getting more information around what people want and not just, it's just a new layout. So like I said, if you've been around for a while, Idea Central is what it used to be called, and now we call it Voice of the Customer. So going over to that landing page, we can see there's a knowledge base article about how to submit a feature request. So there's going to be step-by-step solutions or step-by-step instructions here of how to actually submit that feature request. So very easy. It will walk you through this here, and then that landing page for Voice of the Customer will be located in that Carbon Black user exchange as well. So you can see this is going to be that Voice of the Customer page. We can scroll down, and a couple different tabs that we have here. We have ones that are under consideration. So whether it be, you know, different alerts experience or policy simplification, any of these that are already in use, you can actually come and upvote them. So if it's something that's also important or nice to have or critical for you, you can, once you're logged in, you can upvote those as well. And then we have planned ones. So under consideration, then we move over to planned. So these are ones that are actually on our roadmap. A huge one we've had forever is host-based firewall. So this should be coming by the end of the year, but basically, you know, we've had a huge need of having that host-based firewall within that Carbon Black Cloud console. So this is something that's been raised up the chain quite a few times, and by Voice of the Customer, the more and more of these that we get, the more the engineering team sees them, and the higher priority this will become within the engineering team of go-to-market for these solutions. So we have the planned one, and then we have the ones that have already been launched. So a huge one a couple years ago as well was the dashboard update, so making it a nice, cleaner feel. But you can see like data retention, for example, hash banning, so automatically going in and banning those hashes. So these are ones that have already been seen within the console. So you can definitely see the progress here, and pretty cool to see the ones that we have under consideration and planned. And then how to actually submit one on your own. If you scroll down, it's super simple to come onto this page and submit an idea. So if you have an idea that you don't see on the page and you want to add it in, one that I heard pretty recently and kind of frequently is to have dark mode for our console. So instead of having the white, you would also be able to go into dark mode. So if that's something that you want to do, you could type that in here, put in your email address, and then list it as nice to have, important, or critical for you there. So really simple to come in here and add those. As I mentioned, you just need to have that login, and then from there you'd be able to see these 3 different tabs, and we'd have the full instructions too if you forget after this of how to submit those based on the instructions that we have as well. So yep, talked about the current and past feature requests. Trying to think of a couple others that were implemented, but I think the biggest one coming up is going to be that host-based firewall. But at the tried and true examples, that USB device control. So definitely when these are being raised, we're definitely going to put those into the console as fast and as soon as we can, especially the more traction and the more feature requests we have about a specific one, they're going to be implemented there soon after, hopefully. So but other than that, that was pretty much, what I had to go through today. It's a pretty simple process as far as getting those feature requests implemented within the environment and actually going in and doing it yourself. So once again, just ask away any questions or comments that you have as far as putting in feature requests or any other feature requests that you've maybe put in before. You kind of want to know if there's any updates, anything like that. But before that question and answer section, we are going to launch a survey for how this session went today. And if you have any suggestions for sessions to come, we'd love to hear your feedback there, just so that we're tailoring these to our customers and what you guys want to hear. But then we'll go into questions. It looks like we have a couple in the chat that I see, so I'll start to answer some of those. The first one I have is, would someone from Carbon Black be able to put in a feature request on our behalf? And the answer is yes. So if you have someone on your support team, either an inside sales engineer like myself or your account executive, if there's something that you want to put in, or if you're on a call with them, we can definitely put it in on your behalf as well. We just have to have your customer information, email, name, and then we can go ahead and raise that up on our side. So even after today, if you still want someone else to put it in, definitely can on the Carbon Black side, but definitely good to use that voice of the customer page to put it in yourself if you're feeling comfortable to do that. And then I have another question asking how many feature requests we are allowed to put in, or you guys are allowed to put in. You can put in as many as you'd like. Usually, like you saw, some that are already in there, you can just go and upvote them. So you don't even have to create them yourself. You can actually just go into the voice of the customer and vote for them on that page, and that will trigger the stats on our engineering side. So no reason that you have to duplicate them, but you definitely can. I think they get sorted out on the background or the back end anyways. So if you did put in one for host-based firewall and it's already there, it will just be added to the one that's already on the voice of the customer page. But you can put in as many as you like. Every idea is a good idea. Like I said, dark mode was always a interesting one to me, but you guys know the product well and you use it maybe daily. So if there's anything that sticks out to you, feel free to put those requests in. And then the last question I see so far, so if there's any other questions, please put them in the chat, is, are current customers notified when new features are added into the Carbon Black Cloud console? So yes, those will usually come with a sensor update. So in your Carbon Black Cloud console in the upper right-hand corner, you'll have that notifications tab. And within those, if there's a sensor update, that usually would include any feature requests that are going out. So for example, again, with that USB device control, when that feature was enabled, there was a notification that came out in the console saying, hey, if you want to update this sensor, you can have that USB device control enabled. And after that, after you updated your sensors, then you would now have that feature within your own console. And one thing to note about these feature requests or new sensor versions is, if for some reason you're sitting on the call today and you're like, wait, well, I don't have USB device control or whatnot, It's a great place to open up a support ticket on that same user exchange. So sometimes it's just something that we have to do on our back end to make sure that it's enabled, but usually it comes out with that sensor update. But just wanted to make note that if you, for some reason, aren't seeing that, go ahead and open a support ticket saying, hey, I think I'm supposed to have this USB device control. It's part of our endpoint standard product. So don't need any of the other packages in order to have that feature in particular. But if there's any point where you're wondering about some of those new features, feel free to put in a support ticket to get that taken care of. But that is all the questions I'm seeing right now. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up for the day? All right, well, with that, I want to thank everyone for coming. Like we said, any other comments or ideas for other office hours that we can hold for you, please let us know. But looking forward to seeing everyone's new feature requests in that Voice of the Customer platform there, and have a great day.